Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Allison Reed. I'm a department chair here at UAGC. I'll be host for this session, Unpacking the Code, Understanding and Supporting Faculty Women of Color at Online Institutions. By joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC-related materials. Microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat. Also, we have enabled live transcription. If you would like to use it, click the Show Captions button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Now, I'm pleased to introduce you to Dr. Teresa Handy, who is a program chair and assistant professor who oversees Gen 101, our very first course here at UAGC, and she is in the School of General Studies. So, Dr. Handy, I will hand it over to you, and I will come back in towards the end to make sure we have time for questions. But otherwise, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm going to key up the PowerPoint. Thumbs up if you can see that.
You're good.
Good. Thank you, because I can't see you all. All right. So good morning or afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Dr. Teresa Handy, and I'm the UFP awardee for Each One Reach One, which was a faculty women of color peer mentoring pilot at an online institution, UAGC. This work continues the work of a previous UFP project called Walk the Talk, and Dr. Tamika Fitzpatrick is in the room. We did that research study together a few years ago. That study was about how to move the culture of an institution to be more inclusive through gamification, a book study, and self-guided works. One of the recommendations was to improve equity in positions, promotions, and to get underrepresented faculty into key seats at the table. And this study is to support that work through supporting and empowering women to get seats at the table. So first, thank you for joining me. You had many opportunities to go other places and you chose to come here, and I appreciate that. I am as Dr. Reeve said, I am a program chair at the University of Arizona Global, and I'm excited to share this research with you all. Why does this matter to me? Well, I was the first Black teacher hired at a private all-girls school in Memphis, Tennessee. That school was founded in 1847, and I was hired in 2013. So I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. But I want to also add that I was offered that job after 4 informal interviews, 2 formal interviews, and a teaching demonstration. So when I actually got the offer, I cried because that process was grueling for me. And it was also different from other hiring experiences of other teachers at the school. I was leaving a job at the time where where I walked into the school, I interviewed, and 2 hours later, I was given the job on the spot. So I was a little taken aback by the interview process that I went through. As I entered higher education a few years ago, after earning my doctorate on the lived experiences of Black female graduates of private schools, I was intrigued to understand the lived experiences of Black women, specifically faculty women of color in higher education and online institutions. So this past summer, when I wrote the research proposal, I was looking to explore the role peer mentoring could have in supporting faculty women of color. And that's just a photo of my son, my daughter, my husband, and the heir apparent, the dog who runs the house. His name is Sam.
I wanted to know that you did say you're a mom dog before you said you were a regular mom. So we know the hierarchy, not a problem.
He raised me, right? He's sitting right here. So before we get started, I want to just ask you all, how comfortable are you discussing topics related to diversity, equity, and inclusion? If you could put that into the chat, that would be great. And I'm going to see if I can pull that back up. How comfortable are you discussing topics related to DEI, as that's the abbreviation we would use? Very comfortable, yes. Very comfortable, very love it. Good, I'm happy to see there's a comfort level here. So then this is not new information at all for you all to have this conversation with me. Now I'm gonna pull my screen back up. I don't know how I lost my, that's weird. I may have to stop sharing you all. When I went to find my people, I lost you all. It's odd. I'm gonna do screen 2. Okay, there we go. Let me find the PowerPoint. There we are. Perfect. So it's good to hear that everyone in here is pretty comfortable with this topic. So that means that I'm amongst friends, which is great. But let me give you a little bit of background information. Faculty women of color are often underrepresented in faculty positions, particularly in those senior and leadership roles. They face biases that are based on their race and gender, which can lead to feelings of isolation and lack of representation. In addition, sometimes there are assumptions made about their qualifications or even their teaching style. Finally, their work environment can be riddled with microaggressions that create a hostile and unwelcoming culture, which means the lack of mentors and role models can make it really difficult for them to navigate academia. And that's why I chose to conduct this research. I was aiming to determine the effectiveness of peer mentoring between a full-time female person of color, full-time faculty member, myself, and associate faculty and other full-time faculty members who were female, who identified as female people of color at a virtual institution. We conducted this research through focus groups, professional development sessions. I collected survey data, and I did interviews with each of the participants. And once the discussions were held on Zoom, and they were open and conducted with using a script for the focus groups, but then also open discussion for the professional development sessions, and I'll talk about that a little later. Each participant received a $25 Amazon gift card for their participation, and I had a total of 15 faculty participants exceeding the proposed 10, and I'll get more into those numbers later too. For some, this study may seem narrow in focus, but I ask you to reflect on the tragedy of last year when a university administrator was committed suicide and shared with her family and her colleagues at work that her environment was very toxic. And here are the research questions that I focused on: the effect of peer mentoring, trying to deepen an understanding of the lived experiences of faculty women of color. But more importantly, I sought to find out how these women use the strategies they learned in peer mentoring. So my next question is, does your university or school have a faculty mentorship program for faculty women of color? Dr. Reef, do you mind reading out comments to me? I don't want to risk losing my screen again, please.
Yeah, not a problem.
Does your university or school have a faculty mentorship program for faculty women of color? That's like you can say yes or no, or well, you don't know.
So far, we have my previous employer did not believe in microaggressions or the need to have staff education regarding DEI. Two no's so far.
Right. It's interesting because when I was looking up, and I'm going to share some exemplars later at the end of this presentation for you all to take back to your universities.
We've only had no's.
That breaks my heart. So, well, now you can see why it's personal for me. And frankly, there's so much happening in the world that targets Black women, it can't help but be personal. The heightened racial tensions and incidents around discrimination in our society really create a more challenging and potentially hostile environment for faculty women of color. And these women often face unique forms of discrimination known as gendered racism, which is the intersection of race and gender. This can result in specific challenges related to stereotypes, expectations, and our opportunities. The political climate can influence visibility and representation of faculty women of color. The political discourse impacts hiring practices, diversity initiatives, and overall just how the institution approaches underrepresented groups. Changes in immigration policies and debates around immigration can affect faculty members who are immigrants, who come from immigrant backgrounds, and the uncertainties related to those visas they need and residency status. All of that creates additional stress and challenges. And it takes a toll on the mental health and well-being of faculty women of color. And the mere act of navigating these difficult conversations or even experiencing discrimination can be very draining, and it adds to their emotional labor. So why is this important now? Because now more than ever, a broadened perspective is really needed to enrich the classroom discussions and research focused on this topic. One dynamic that faculty women of color face is this feeling of being othered, and that is where they feel as if they are being viewed or treated by members of the other group in a different or less worthy or even as a threat. It's important to recognize that othering is a social construct and that the distinctions made between us and them are often just arbitrary and based on societal norms and historical context. It's really important that we create safe spaces where faculty women of color can be vulnerable and feel welcomed. And we have to talk about not putting them in a place where they feel different or othered and separate from the main culture of the school. The study was named for a core belief I have that I am my sister's keeper. When I went to South Africa for an academic conference in 2019, I was introduced to a concept of Ubuntu, which is a belief of I am because we are. And that is how I approach much of what I do. So how can I help faculty women of color feel more connected to the institution? What can I do to help them increase their impact with students, impacting their student success, impacting student retention? Because we all know that students who have engaged and supportive faculty in the classroom are successful in completion of their degree. The study recruited all faculty women of color, as I mentioned. We actually had 23 people who expressed an interest. 15 actually finished the project, and I only planned for 10, as I said. We had those 4 focus groups with a set of questions. I then held professional development sessions where the participants discussed freely 2 different peer-reviewed journal articles that focused on tenure and the faculty women of color's experience in higher education. These sessions ran over, and participants often asked for more information after the sessions. I met one-on-one with the faculty members, and it was interesting to discover that some had changed their original career goals after their involvement in the sessions. Their goals were more focused and more aligned with what they valued, not just what they perceived was valuable. The interviews allowed me to get a more personalized response. And the participants, as I mentioned, they received that gift certificate, but and I wanted to note that that was the maximum that was allowed by our guidelines as a land-grant institution. I actually wanted to give them gifts of $300, and I wanted to $300, and I wanted to make sure they had all of these supports and everything, but you're limited to what you can provide a research participant. So let's look at the numbers. 92.3% of the participants do not currently have a mentor. 77% said they had an increased sense of belonging and felt more included after the sessions. 84.6% reported they learned strategies to increase their sense of belonging and inclusion, and 76% reported that peer mentoring sessions increased their knowledge on how to navigate the online university community. They reported learning strategies for career advancement, learning to use internal applications and tools, learning how to engage with managers, and learning how to network with peers and their leaders. Repeatedly, participants reported in their exit interview that they already started using things that they learned in the sessions, including one participant who received a national conference acceptance after discussing the process for submitting conference proposals. What did I discover? I learned a lot from these amazing women. And in my last communication with them, I encouraged them to continue to use what we talked about in our professional development sessions. And one of them sent back that note to me that I just mentioned a few moments ago, that she was shocked that the proposal was accepted because it was so easy. And I reminded her of our group conversations about stepping into unfamiliar territories and knowing that we belong just takes that one step, and exploring some of the other, and so I want to share with you some of the other words of our participants. From donut maker to college professor, won't take nothing for my journey now. This quote from Maya Angelou summarizes exactly how the women I met with felt, that they would not take anything to change their journey. Now, would it have been nice if the odds had not been stacked against some of them? Yeah, overall, they felt that their journey really helps to inform their teaching practices in the classroom. So the path to college teaching for most of these women was very unique. It was varied, it was indirect, it was happenstance, unexpected, unplanned, yet all of them had a sense of thankfulness and gratitude for having the opportunity to share their life experiences in the classroom. The participants shared that they felt seen during our research sessions. They felt visible. They felt a sense of belonging with others that they were listening to in those professional development sessions and in the focus groups. Another participant shared that they felt more included. One participant said that by being involved in the group sessions, it was incredibly enriching to her, and that she was able to dive deeper into the experiences of others and gain a better understanding from their perspectives. The peer mentoring sessions provided a valuable platform for opening and understanding conversations, allowing them to connect with fellow faculty members and sharing similar experiences. And they felt a stronger sense of belonging with other women of color in academia. One participant said that the sessions felt like a sorority meeting or a church social. The atmosphere was warm and inviting, but she also felt that there was no need to put on a facade of success or to strive to prove her worthiness. The sense of belonging it came naturally, and she felt that she could let her guard down without being judged. In all of these sessions, the underlying theme was empathy was being formed and relationships were being developed, and the faculty were no longer seeing themselves as imposters. There were really good strategies shared in the sessions. I would like to take that. Well, I would like to say that strategies, I think, were the biggest takeaways. The faculty learned how to advance their careers, how to search for internal job postings, how to engage with other faculty for new opportunities, how to volunteer for events, how to participate in things like TLC as a presenter. And many of them talked about using what they learned internally, externally at their outside employment. So I'm going to skip this question because I want to make sure that I have enough time for questions, but I want you to reflect on that. What is one thing that you can do to help a faculty woman of color not feel othered? And just think about in your space where you sit as a faculty member, as a supervisor, what you can do. It was important for me to understand what the faculty wanted their managers to know about them. And what they said was really poignant. They said, I want them to know that when I show up, all of me shows up, not as a stereotype. They want to be trusted to do the work. They want to be seen as an expert. They want to feel safe, and they want someone that cares about how they feel and what they are experiencing. One of them even said that it would be great if she could be seen as someone worthy of working on course development because she's working in the field every day and she feels like she could add value in that way. So why did I think about peer mentoring as a solution to these feelings of unbelonging and disconnectedness? The participants shared that the experience was transformative and provided a dedicated space for collaborative discussions. And that's what peer mentoring does. It gives you the safe space to kind of connect with other colleagues who are having the same experiences you are having, and it gives you some support that is needed. And it also, as this participant stated, it fosters an inclusive environment that empowers them as a woman of color faculty member, and they felt valued, supported, and integrated. How did the participants define their mentor? This was a shocking piece for me. The participants said it would be nice if their mentor shared their identifiers, but overwhelmingly, they did not feel that the mentor had to look like them. And Paul Pastrick, who's a former leader, said, Teresa, I don't think that's important, because I kept saying, it's important. And he's like, no. And it was really nice to see that, you know what, even as a researcher, when you have like your own internal biases, that when you actually let the research flow, it actually does develop what it's intended to develop, which is they want a mentor who understands their career journey and is still working in the field and is direct with them and a good listener. Had nothing to do with their identifiers. So what are the recommendations? The recommendations are two-sided. First, there are things that can be done as the institution, but then each participant shared some of what they will do. So related to the study, one participant shared that professionalism of the faculty member, and she was talking about me, which was hilarious. She said that made her feel that she could trust the institution and she felt like she could be open and she could be honest with me when speaking. And when I tell you these women were honest with me, they shared all of their feelings. And I, with respect, have gathered their information and put it together in a way that does not reveal their identity, because I want them to know that I respect their experience, and I want to know that I respect their privacy as well. But I want to make sure that I get the information out to everyone. Another participant added that a follow-up email or a how-to guide would support continued access for those interested. So as you may have guessed it, one of my first recommendations is that a training in our internal system be created to help faculty leaders support faculty women of color. Overall, the participants all said they wanted more support, more information, more time to develop relationships, more time to develop as a faculty, getting those skills that they know are important. So implementing mentorship programs is important. Identifying areas for policy change is important. Encouraging inclusive policies, all of these things are important. And if we work them all, we will eventually get to the point where these Ancillary projects like these peer mentoring programs become the result of that effort, the result of that work that we do as an institution. This study could be scaled up for the larger UAGC community through the use of that training with program chairs in a virtual session. Faculty support team could be involved. I've actually talked to our faculty affairs office about how we could scale this up. And so I think that we have some things kind of brewing that we think will be really helpful and useful to our faculty. And just having an opportunity for faculty to learn the importance of these kinds of needs that some faculty may have is really important. But as I said, it's a partnership. So what did the participants say they would do? They said, I'm going to attend more virtual faculty events, like those faculty community of practice and academic roundtables that will give me an opportunity to network. So I want established faculty to welcome them when they come to those meetings, reach out to those new faces that you may see. The faculty women of color said they're going to seek out opportunities to collaborate and conduct research on topics, attend conferences and work to present and publish. Work to have open communication with their program chair and their assistant dean, connect with people on LinkedIn. So if you get a request from someone who is an associate faculty, go ahead and friend them on LinkedIn so they can kind of build that network that they're looking to do. They're going to join professional organizations and they're going to provide support for our students of color and encourage them on their chosen career path. But most importantly, they want to broaden their reach by trying to get more course approvals to allow them to interact with different colleagues. And I talked to them in our sessions about how to go about doing that. So if you get a random email from an associate faculty member, answer it because they're reaching out and they're taking a risk in building that bridge with you. As I mentioned earlier, the strategies are key. And here are some of the other strategies that institutions can do. I mentioned them a few minutes ago. Mentorship and sponsorship, establishing programs for that. Safe spaces for open dialogue, inclusive policies, giving faculty time to grow and develop, offering good professional development opportunities, and celebrate those diverse perspectives and achievements of all faculty. So why did this study even matter? When I read the comments from the survey and when I had my one-on-ones, there were so many important comments that were made to me, but these kind of sat out to me. I enjoyed the readings. I enjoyed being able to hear others. And I think this would be more helpful if I had more one-on-one sessions. I enjoyed the articles and discussions. It was nice to interact with other women of color who share a passion for education and advancement in their careers. I enjoyed the opportunity to speak with the lead, which was me, and share thoughts and ideas. I also had as much fun engaging with these faculty women of color. It was an amazing opportunity. And then finally, this was a great experience in that I was able to meet other faculty. I also had an increased awareness of challenges that women of color face in academia. And I further developed me personally and professionally. But she said, I don't have any suggestions at this time for improvement. So sharing those comments kind of let me see how the people who were receiving the experience were feeling, which is just kind of a normalization of how this is just an important part of developing as a professional. And I think that's why I want to share that it's not so much this is faculty women of color peer mentoring. As one of my colleagues, Dr. Connie Lauer said, she said, Teresa, I would like to do this with someone, it doesn't, and I said, you know what? Anyone could benefit from peer mentoring. And I think that's the big aha moment for me. So as I wrap up, I'm going to ask you, how can you leverage your position to support faculty women of color, wherever you are, where you sit? And just kind of think on that and act on that. Act on being able to be a place of support, a safe space for someone who is in that group of faculty. And I mentioned some exemplar programs. Washington State Board for Community and Technical Colleges has an amazing faculty of color cross-institutional mentorship program. New York University has a great program and Northeastern has a great program. What I would say is Washington State's program is intentionally connecting faculty success and student success by building relationships and offering professional development targeted towards the unique needs of Black, Indigenous, and faculty of color. They have 3 retreats, and then there's ongoing peer group mentoring sessions. At New York University, the Office of Global Inclusion has developed the Global Faculty Engagement and Innovation Advancement Mentoring Program for diverse faculty. Huge name, which is a formal program for early career faculty to receive mentorship and constructive support in navigating the university and addressing professional needs. And then finally, Northeastern, theirs is very unique. This is structured as a faculty mentoring program that includes funding, and you can actually engage faculty from other institutions. For example, one group created the Neurodivergent Professorate Peer Support Network, and the goal was to develop fellowship, solidarity, and resource sharing among neurodivergent faculty in higher education, culminating in a roadmap for future activities. And they receive $3,000 that can be used for travel, honorariums, publication costs, etc. So there are lots of different ways to structure this, and I wanted to give you 3 exemplars. As I wrap up, I would like to thank the anonymous faculty women of color who gave me their self-selected pseudonyms, who were brave to engage with me and to be honest and to share their stories. So I honor Brooklyn, B, Bethany, Whitney, HR Diva, Laura Ingalls, Mackenzie, Allie, Simone Johnson, Nissan, Dr. Darling, Mimi, Denise, Neva, Sadie, Marie, and Danny. I'd also like to thank Dr. Sherry Liu, Dr. Charles Holmes, and Dr. Murad Abel, and the entire IRB and ARCS teams. That's an internal process that we go through to get the UFP award. Dr. Allison Reef, who always supports my desires to learn more. My Gen 101 team, Dr. Connie Lauer and James Bond, as well as all of the Gen 101 faculty, and my unlikely mentor, Mr. Bill Davis. We often say that we're unlikely because Bill Davis is an older white male. I'm a younger, not much younger, Black female. And so when you look at us, you don't think that we could be a mentorship pair, but we have incredible meetings monthly, and my research proves that we are not an unlikely pair. And finally, Mr. Paul Pasterick, our former leader, who challenged me to think broader about peer mentorship, and I'm glad that he did. This research was presented at these conferences, and I'm working on publications in these journals here. Here are my references, and I'm going to stop sharing so I can take questions. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Dr. Tessa. Thank you. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Are there any questions?
Teresa, I'm wondering, we talked a little bit about co-construction in the opening session.
Mhm.
And as someone supporting other people through this, do you find that you're just as impacted and a learner as you are a leader and a teacher through this experience? And how has it changed you?
Yes, I'm both oftentimes. I think I reach out to others. Dr. Fitzpatrick is still here. Dr. Fitzpatrick was a very early career mentor for me. I've had lots of other people in where I live who have supported my journey. So I'm a student and a teacher. So I really feel it's my job as someone who's sitting at the table, each one reach one, to offer support and guidance. And I was doing it informally, and then I thought, wait a minute, this actually makes sense. And so I think that it can be a little draining. It becomes part of that emotional labor that I mentioned earlier about what happens to faculty women of color when they're sitting in this space that, a lot is pulled on them. So it can be a little emotionally draining sometimes. And even during the session, I had to kind of take some time after our sessions because I was so busy giving during those sessions that afterwards I felt a little depleted, and I didn't expect that. That was really unexpected because I kind of was like, I'm so excited. But I realized, wow, supporting them kind of really took something out of me.
Absolutely. And just a second before we run out of time, you did say when I show up, all of me shows up. And if that isn't Dr. Handy, I don't know who is. So thank you for showing up fully for us today. And thank you to the audience for participating in today's session. You'll see I put the link for you to nominate TLC presentations for conference awards, as well as for you to share your feedback on the presentation. So take a minute, Teresa, to read through the chat. Everyone really enjoyed what you were presenting and can't wait to hear more. So thank you. And thank you, everybody in the
Thank
audience.
you all. Thank you so much.